Good evening, everybody. I am Vibhu Swain from PowerTech Consultant. Today we'll start our webinar number 22. Let me share my screen with you. So webinar number 22, it is basically the book 2 of chapter 2, that is energy efficiency in thermal utilities, and we'll study the remaining portion of chapter 2 in this class. Now we have discussed about boiler efficiency, how to evaluate boiler efficiency and blow down and all the types of boiler. Today we'll see and study on how to improve the boiler availability. That means the boiler is a very critical item. It produces steam for power generation, for process steam. Therefore, it should be always available. If boiler is stopped or it is broken down or it trips, then it will affect the whole plant process. Now, how to improve boiler availability then? There are basically 3-4 methods by which, if you adopt good operation and maintenance practices, we can improve boiler availabilities. What are those? Reducing boiler tube leakage. The major failure in boiler is that the tube fails. The boiler tubes, the water carrying tubes fails, due to which welding is required. The boiler is completely hot. It has to be cooled down. Once it is cooled down, then again inspection is carried out. Then after that, the boiler tube leakage is found out and it is welded and it is repaired. So it is a very time consuming process. Therefore, we need to adopt good operation and maintenance practices. Now, what are the reasons of boiler tube leakage? One is mechanical damage. Mechanical damage. That means due to fly ash corrosions, fly ash falling of clinker, fuel particles. It increases the stress in the tube, due to which the tube gets damaged and sometimes it may fail. Chemical cause. In the water side, fire side, corrosion happens. Caustic gouging happens. Caustic gouging means OH, that means caustic. The hydroxide corrosion happens. Then hydrogen embrittlement. That means in the water, hydrogen, if it is there, then that hydrogen diffuses or reacts with the metal part of the boiler, and due to which it makes the tube weaker, due to which also tube fails. Pitting means small hole local due to occur due to localized heating, due to which the boiler tube or the boiler component fails. Stress corrosion, cracking, low high temperature effects. That means sometimes the temperature is low, sometimes the temperature is high. That also affects the boiler tube. So these are the chemical causes. Now, metallurgical causes, overheatings of high temperature component. These are superheater, reheater. Sometimes the boiler tubes are welded and then joined. So there is maybe weld joint failure, cracking, fatigue of boiler, or due to vibration of the whole boiler cell furnace, thermal corrosion. These are the reason or metallurgical cause due to which the tube material loses its strength and fails. Another one is quality assurance gaps. That means if inadequate quality assurance plan was adopted during design and manufacturing stage, then what will happen? The boiler, there are chances that boiler will fail. So how to avoid that? We have to employ good quality raw materials, adopt good operation and maintenance practices. Then this will minimize the tube leakage. So tube failure is mainly due to design, manufacturing gaps, due to bad operational and maintenance practices, or due to aging related issues, the tube fails. So these are the major causes. And if you can take care, then there will be no tube failure and the boiler will be available. Similarly, soot blowing and soot deposit reduction. The soot actually it is maybe ash. When the fuel burns, it creates some soot or ash that sticks to heating surface and provide insulation to heat transfer. And these are the soot is acts as insulator, due to which the heat transfer is not proper and it reduces the efficiency. And as a practice, as a thumb rule, you can remember 3 soot can cause increase in fuel consumption by 2.5% due to decrease in flue gas temperature. That means due to increase in flue gas temperature, when soot is formed, it does not allow heat to transfer, due to which the water cannot take the heat and the dry flue gas temperature increases. And this shows that there is a steam, there is a soot is there. And how soot is disposed or reduced by soot blowing. So steam is utilized to blow soot so that the temperature, dry gas, flue gas temperature gets reduces and heat transfer will be proper and efficiency will be achieved. Preservation of boiler. Now, when the boiler is taken out of services, maybe for shorter duration, maybe for longer durations, then at that time we need to preserve the boiler in a best practices. Then only we'll be able to make into operational at a shorter notice. So how to preserve the boiler? Why you need to preserve the boiler? Because the boiler contains water. So when it is kept in ideal condition, the water is totally removed from the boiler. But there will be still some water will be there, and because of this leftover water and atmospheric oxygen reacts with boiler, and due to which corrosion occurs. And this for that also the boiler may fail when it is put into operation. So in wet method, what you do, it is basically we fill the water at a pH of around 10.5 to 11. Then we employ hydrogen or sodium sulfide. These are basically oxygen. They find out the oxygen traces, and so oxygen is if is not there, the water is almost good. Then there will be lesser chances of corrosion. In dry method, what you do? This is basically in wet method is applied where you require the boiler to be operational within short notice. But in case of when the boiler is not required for longer duration, then we emptied all the water and we employed dry method. That means deaerated water filled, then raised to 7 kg per cm square. After that, the pressure is reduced, then water is drained. So we have to raise the water with deaerated water, increase the pressure, then reduce the pressure. Then once the firing stops, then water, all the water is drained or drained. Then hot air is blown to dry the boiler. Then silica gel activated alumina were placed to capture the moisture, and moisture entry is avoided. So these are the two methods by which boiler can be preserved. Now we also need to adopt good practices, operational practices like cold startup procedures. That means whenever you want to start up a boiler, start slowly, don't start rapidly. That means you have to have certain procedure for cold startup. That means when it is starting from the cold conditions, you check that boiler is properly closed and all the valves are shut or open as per the standard conditions. Boiler is filled with slightly below normal level. Boiler treatment chemical may not be added to boiler water. It is hard, the chemical has to be added, and any if any flammable material is there, that has to be checked. Then boiler uptake passage is clear, and pre-purging of furnace for a specified amount of time is necessary. That means the gas side of the flammable gas to avoid starting explosion. So all the flammable gas they need to explode. Therefore, pre-purging of the furnace is required. Otherwise, explosion may happen. And a cold boiler firing must not be speeded up too much in order to overstrain the boiler. That means you have to move slowly. You have to increase the temperature slowly so that overstrain does not occur. Then boiler shutdown procedures. Suppose you want to shut down a boiler, also at that time you have to maintain good procedure. What are those? That means you have to shut it down slowly. Frequent short bottom blows are better than fewer longer blows. That means whenever you want to shut down a boiler, you have to see that there is no not much of water inside it, and the water should not contain more TDS. So because if it is TDS there, then there will be chances of scale and sludge formations. So when the boiler shutdown is planned, we increase the blowdown. That means whatever contaminants are there, whatever the TDS are there, whatever the sludges are there, there or impurities are there, they are removed. So you have to increase the blowdown prior to the shutdown and increase short bottom blows. That means number of short blows should be more than the fewer longer blows, and then the load is dropped from boiler. Include header blow downs as part of manual blowdown procedure. Increase the manual blowdown as well. When the load is dropped from the boiler, continue bottom blowdown until the boiler is cool and safe to work on. And as soon as possible after the boiler is opened, wash down the boiler water side, preferably with soft water. That means we have to increase blowdown. We have to see that no contaminants are there, and there are certain procedures like increasing the blowdown and how the boiler water side can be cleaned. So these are the procedure has to be adopted during boiler shutdown procedures. That means by adopting these practices, we can improve the boiler availability. So sometimes in long question exam may come that what are the steps for improving the boiler availability? 10-mark question it may come. Then what do we mean by thermic fluid heaters? That means it is basically oil synthetic or mineral oil type of fluid which is heated up to 300 degrees centigrade at atmospheric pressures. Sometimes you don't require very high temperature or very high pressure steam. But if the pressure is not high, then we will not be able possible to get that high temperature. So if the pressure requirement is low and but we need high temperature, then we use oil synthetic or minerals in which is known as thermic fluid heater. So the advantage of thermic fluids as compared to steam systems are it has high temperature operation at atmospheric pressure. That means at low pressure it can attain high temperatures. Operational temperature level set points are there. No supply of treatment of heat water. No heat loss due to condensate flash steam. That means in this case steam is not utilized. Therefore, so you don't have to heat the waters. For again, you don't have to uh, go for flash recovery, flash steam recovery in the condensate. So there will be no heat loss, no risks of corrosion because water is not there. It is easy to operate. Where it is applied in dryers, heaters, deodorizer. So this is the figure of thermic fluid heater, and here is the fuel blower in which the fuel as well as oxygen is applied. Is the furnace. Now this is the mineral oil or synthetic oil tank, and it is the oil is coming, cold oil is coming from the process. This is the deaerator tank. The cold oil goes with the help of circulation pump, goes inside. Then these are the tubes. It pass through those tubes and take the heat of the fuel oil. Then After heating, it goes to the process, and we can, with the help of a control panel, we can monitor the temperature, pressures, and fuel flow, oil flow, and we can control this thermic fluid heater with the help of this control panel. Now, what are the energy conservation opportunity in boiler? Boiler is a thermal energy conservation devices in which fuel energy is converted to, or heat energy is converted to steam energy. As you know, boiler efficiency is in the range of 80 to 80%. So there is a 20% loss is there. Therefore, we have to see that we don't lose much of energy in boiler. So what are the energy conservation opportunities are available in boiler? One is stack temperature. That means stack temperature has to be low as possible. Why? If dry flue gas is there and temperature is high, then what will happen? Lot of specific heat, ambient means flue gas temperature TF minus T ambient temperature. So lot of heat loss will be there because this high temperature flue gas will exit to the atmosphere. So you have to reduce the stack temperature to as low as possible. But what happens when you reduce the stack temperature? If there will be sulfur in the coal, this get condensed. So below 200 degrees centigrade, the sulfur stack temperature, if it is reduced, then the water condensate and the sulfur dioxide react with the condensate water and corrosion happens. Therefore, we have to see that stack temperature should be optimal. Then feed water heating using economizer. In every modern boiler, there is a economizer. Now gas leaving the flue gas or three-pass cell boiler, the temperature is around 200 to 300 degrees centigrade. Now this 300 degrees centigrade, if it is above, then there is a good potential for recovering the heat. So whenever, if we found the boiler temperature is higher than 200 degrees centigrade, we recommend for uh, uh, heat recovery of the from the flue gas. So this heat recovery from the flue gas can be utilized for feed water preheating for different issues. Now, when the clean fuel such as natural gas, LPG, gas, oil is used, economic of heat recovery must be worked out as the flue gas temperature may be well below 200 degrees centigrade. Since we utilize natural gas, LPG, coal, at that time there is no sulfur, there is no coal. So if LPG gas and natural gas are utilized, then since sulfur is not there, then you can reduce the stack temperature to further lower level to save on dry flue gas loss. Because coal is not present there. Since coal is not there, the sulfur will not be there. Now, combustion air free heat. Combustion air heating is an alternative to feed water heating. That means by combustion air heating by 20 degrees centigrade, you can improve the efficiency by 1%, which is a very good number. Now, since the most of the boiler plant, the gas and oil burner are not designed for high air treated temperature. Therefore, we are not increasing the combustion temperature beyond 20 degrees centigrade. Incomplete combustions. That means if the coal size is not good, the coal size is very high, then it will not be properly mixed and there will be unburnt loss will be there. Similarly, if the coal size is very small and fines are there, then automatically it will block the air passage, causing poor air distributions. Sometimes in the cell type or in the stokeout fire, the fines goes to the as or goes to the disposal without being burnt. So the fuel size has to be very optimal. Then only incomplete combustion will not happen. For oil and gas type of boiler, what will happen? Poor oil fires can result from improper viscosity. If the viscosity of the oil is not good, then improper firing will occur. Worn tips, carbonization of tips, deterioration of diffuser or spinner plates. These are the issues due to it. Incomplete combustion occurs. So by measuring the as analysis in lab report, by measuring the oxygen, by measuring the CO2 percentage, we can see that or we can by measuring the GCV of the unburnt coal in gas, we can find out what are the losses due to incomplete combustions. Now, another one is excess air controller. That means we to improve the combustion or to improve or to avoid unburnt combustions. What we do, we provide some more air that than the theoretical air requirement. This air is known as excess air. So this table shows that 50 to 20% of excess air is required for in all the boilers so that the unburnt loss will be relatively lower. Controlling Excel, but if you can control this excess air, we cannot make it very high. What will happen? There will be more dry flue gas loss will be there, and boiler will not be efficient. But we cannot reduce it because why? The unburnt loss will improve or increase. So controlling XLR is an optimum level results in reduction in flue gas losses. For every 1% reduction in excess air, there is an opportunity of 0.6% rise in efficiency. Now, how we control this excess air? Now, what we do, we use some portable gas analyzer or continuous gas analyzer is installed in the boiler. It will sense the oxygen level. If the oxygen level is very high, that means more excess air is being supplied. So what we will do, through the oxygen analyzer, the operator will have some local mounted draft gauge through which he can adjust the airflow. So by monitoring oxygen CO2 in the flue gas, we can control the excess air. By controlling excess air, we can save the dry flue gas loss and boiler will be efficient. Now, radiation and convection heat loss. The external surface of cell boiler are hotter than the surroundings. Now, if the insulation is not good, insulation has deteriorated, what will happen? The radiation loss will increase. The convection loss will be increasing. If there is a wind flow near the hot surface, again, the radiation and convection heat loss is directly related to wind speed of the nearby area, surface temperature of the boiler, so and insulation adopted in the boiler wall and boiler uh, pipeline. So we need to reduce this radiation and convection loss, we need to repair, augment all the insulations so that heat loss to the boiler wall can be avoided. Automatic blowdown control. Now, uncontrolled continuous blowdown is very wasteful because you are blowing down the steam, blowing down the DM water, and high temperature and high pressure steam when it is blown down, then there is a huge energy loss is there. So we need to compromise, or you need to make an optimal choice so that blowdown will happen, but uncontrolled blowdown will not happen. Automatic blowdown control can be installed. That means what will do, it will sense the boiler conductivity. If the conductivity is very high, what will happen? That means the mineral percentage is very high. So boiler need at the time, you have to increase the blowdown period so that it will be the boiler will be in operate in a good conditions and without much TDS. Now, 10% blowdown in 15 kg per square mm boiler result in 3% efficiency loss. So if the blowdown increases, there are also efficiency reduces. So we have to do an automatic blowdown control. The next is reduction of boiler steam pressure. Now, if you see, if any power plant engine is there, then if you reduce the boiler uh, pressure, then the boiler temperature, the lower steam temperature gives a lower saturated steam temperature. That means you will get a lower saturated steam temperature by reducing the boiler pressure. Without stack heat recovery, a smaller reduction in the temperature of the flue gas also happens. That means when the pressure is reduced, then the saturated steam temperature get reduces. That means you don't require that much of fuel, and because We don't require that much of heat. Therefore, the dry flue gas temperature also reduces, and this has resulted in efficiency increase in the efficiency. Now, another method to improve the energy efficiency or energy conservation in boiler is to adopt energy efficiency. What is energy efficiency? That means you have to adopt some tools, some equipment, energy efficiency appliances like variable speed control for fans, blower, pumps. There are a number of motors are there in a boiler, in the raw material system, in the water system, in the steam section, in the gas systems. So you have to go for variable speed control. So because if the loading of the boiler keeps on changing, but these motors pumps are running at a rated condition, which is not desirable. So you have to go for variable speed control for fans, blower, pumps in boiler systems. Now, effect of boiler loading and efficiency. Now, maximum loading of boiler does not occur at full load, but at about two-thirds of the full load. It is a normal practice that the maximum efficiency does not increase at 100% load. It is always 2.2 by 3% of the rated load. As in case of motor also we have studied at 70% load factor or loading, the motor is most efficient. Now, if the load has to be increased, then you have to see that loading is good, and because if you loading is not proper, then there will be uh, fire or fuel loss will may happen. Now, proper boiler scheduling, if you have 2 or 4 or number of boilers, you have to schedule in such a way that the boiler operate at 65 to 85% of the full load. If you operate at 0 to 20%, there will be energy loss. If you operate at 100% all the boiler load, that will be also inefficient. So you have to see that you operate fewer number of boiler at high load and operate large number of motors at. It is better to operate fewer number of boiler at high load. So proper boiler scheduling is also required. Then boiler replacement. Potential saving from replacing boiler depend upon anticipated change in overall efficiency. That means the boiler is very old, inefficient, not capable of fuel firing cheaper substitution fuel. Because boiler is such a thing that it is while designing stage it has considered it various type of fuel. If the fuel gets changes, automatically boiler design has to change. So if the boiler is not capable of firing cheaper substitution fuel, over and undersized present requirement, not designed for ideal loading condition. Because of this, sometimes we need to replace the boiler with a new energy efficient boiler. So these are the methods through which we can achieve energy efficiency or energy conservation in boiler. Now let us solve this example. Now if you see the oil fat temperature is generating, this is a boiler, this is oil fat boiler. Steam generation is 30 ton per hour. Operators operation hour is 8,000 hour per year. Now TDS in boiler water is reduced from 500 ppm to 200 ppm. So initial TDS was 500 ppm and final TDS was 200 ppm. The maximum permissible TDS in the boiler is 3000 ppm. Makeup water with percentage is 100%. Now from these data, we can find out the boiler blow down. Blow down percentage is feed water TDS, as I discussed, into percentage of makeup water into 100 by maximum possible TDS in the boiler minus feed water TDS. Now, here it says temperature of the blow down water is 170 degrees centigrade. Boiler feed temperature is 40 degrees centigrade. DC of fuel is 10,000 kilocalories per kg. That means the oil fired boiler. Efficiency of the boiler is 80%. Calculate saving in fuel oil per annum due to reduction in blowdown. So idea here to control the blowdown. That means earlier blowdown was rampant, but now we'll be controlling the blowdown so that energy will be saved. So initial efficiency was 80%. Now let us see. So initial blowdown, what will happen? 500, because the TDS in the boiler feed water is reduced from 500, that means to 200 ppm. Because of this blowdown, the 500 ppm boiler water has come down to 200 ppm. So initial blowdown will be how much? 500 into 10% is the makeup water. 3000 minus 500, applying this formula. So initial blowdown was 2%, but we have controlled the blowdown. So what is the improved blowdown in the option number 2? 200 into 100 by 3000 minus 200, and it becomes improved blowdown is 0.71%. So how the blowdown is reduced? Reduction in blowdown is almost 2 minus 0.71, it is 1.29%. So reduction in blowdown in terms of water, because steam flow rate is 30 ton per hour. So 1.29 is the percentage. So you can find out that means 387 kg per hour of steam is being saved. Now, so heat saving will be how much? 387 kg per hour. That means into 1 into, because temperature of the boiler, down water is 170, feed water is 40. So temperature difference. One is the specific heat, it is the mass. That means kg per hour is the mass here per hour basis. So heat saving is this much. So 50,310 kilocalorie per hour. Now what will be fuel saving? 50,000, that means heat saving divided by boiler efficiency is 80%. So, and GCV is 1000 kilocalorie per kg. So if I divide GCV and boiler efficiency, I can get fuel saving of 6.28 kg per hour. If I multiply with 8,000, because it is operational for 8,000 hour, so I'll get 50.24 metric ton of fuel oil will be saved because of controlling the blowdown only. So with this example, you can find out how energy saving can be done in boiler, and these are the 12 methodology for improving the boiler efficiency. There can be plenty when you practice energy audit in field. So with this, I conclude the chapter 2 of book 2. So we have completed the boiler systems. With this, I close. Good night.